Winnebago County Board of Supervisors meeting is called to order. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Supervisor Powers.
Tonight we remember our colleague and friend Thomas Egan, who represented District 33 for many years and who ably served as our county board chair. Tom died on July 31st. Of your gracious charity, I've been asked to offer a Christian prayer for him before the invocation. Into your hands, O merciful Savior, we commend your servant Thomas. Acknowledge, we humbly beseech you, a sheep of your own fold, a lamb of your own flock, a sinner of your own redeeming. Receive him into the arms of your mercy, into the blessed rest of everlasting peace, and into the glorious company of the saints in light. May his soul and the souls of all the departed through the mercy of God rest in peace, and may light perpetual shine upon them. Amen. And finally, tonight's invocation. Good and gracious Creator, we pray for all those impacted by the tornado on July 27th, people who lost property and responders who showed up to help. We are grateful for the outdoor early warning sirens which prevented all loss of life during the Menasha storm. We pray for our country, that our leaders will be the voice for all people and will serve the nation with truth and dignity. We pray for peace so that citizens of war-ravaged countries may live with family and friends without fear. We pray for our schools, that they may be places of learning, growth, and friendship. Protect our students and the staff from any violence. We pray for farmers that their lands may yield abundant harvests to feed Earth's people and her animals. And we pray for the poor, the hungry, the homeless, the unemployed, the sick, the grieving, the depressed, and the lonely. Amen. We pray for our country, that our leaders will be the voice for all people and will serve the nation with truth and dignity. We pray for peace so that citizens of war-ravaged countries may live with family and friends.
Thank you, Supervisor Powers. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved. Approve this evening's agenda. Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay. Before we move on to the public comments, we're going to try and take care of the technical difficulties. You're ready now? All right. At this time, the agenda is open to the public for comments. Comments on any resolution or ordinance that appears on the agenda, as well as any matter over which this body has jurisdiction. If anybody would like to be recognized, raise your hand. Recognize you, state your name and address, and please only use that microphone. And there is a sign-up sheet, by the way. Yes, sir.
Nina, I just want to say first county board meeting. First off, I just obviously the Fox Valley obviously was devastated by the tornado that kind of hit touchdown and affected not only Appleton, Menasha, Nina, and Fox Crossing. My message is simple: is just thank you. Thank you to those who have been up there helping. County Exec Hintz has come up several times and really worked through a lot of the things that we needed to do. Eric Rasmussen and the EOC team really stepped forward and really put a plan in place. You never really can govern when situations like this occur. You know pretty well because of the spans nature of the county. So really, it's just appreciate the effort and appreciate the comments and the people that were working towards that. I also really encourage you as legislators to come on up and take a look. Sometimes it's easy to sit behind the desk and legislate and make decisions. Now that a lot of the debris has been picked up, it's pretty haunting to see the devastation that exists there. And I tell my aldermen all the time, you know, when you're there, get out and talk to the people. Sometimes I know Nina is way north up there, and it might be a long drive for some of you, but we exist up there, and we're part of Winnebago, along with Menasha and Fox Crossing. And but it's really telling, and the people up there came together in a way that I think we should be really proud of who we are in Wisconsin and Winnebago County. And hopefully, we'll never have this again. But knowing that we've had systems in place to take care of these things, and county leadership definitely matters. And I just wanted to say thanks. So.
Thank you, Mayor. For those who are commenting, you might recognize there is a clock. You have 2 minutes to give your remarks.
Crystal Laux, 388 Nassau Street, Menasha, Wisconsin, also Winnebago County Supervisor, District 2. So I live just outside of the part of Winnebago County that was most destroyed by the tornado. And a lot of my district was very badly damaged by the tornado. And we have to keep in mind we will rebuild, and it'll take a long time. And we lost a lot of housing. The houses exploded and fell into the basement and are missing. It's unbelievable. But we didn't have enough housing before. A lot of people on Doty Island are missing their houses, but they had savings. So what they're doing is they're going directly to landlords, and I don't blame them for this. This is what I would do too. They're going directly to landlords and they're saying, I'll give you $200, $300, $400, $4,000 above your asking rent if I can get in there right now. And they're saying, yes, of course, because it's a lot of money. But this tornado hit every economic bracket that is contained in Menasha, from the lowest to the highest. And the people that were renting don't have insurance to pay for their apartment. They don't have a safety net for housing. A lot of the renters are gonna end up homeless, and it's not their fault. It's not that they're lazy, it's not that they're on drugs, although they might start doing drugs. They
Time
might
has
start
expired.
drinking, they might commit suicide. But we did not have enough housing before, and there are real problems now. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Kate Hancock Cook. I live at 216 Bosworth Court in Neenah. And I am not going to talk about the tornado. I am going to talk about flock cameras. I would like to draw your attention as supervisor. I'm also a District 7 supervisor, which is wards in middle of Neenah. Just want to draw your attention to your emails. Supervisors, if you didn't see, there was a letter from one of the constituents in, not my district, but talking about flock cameras. And it's been a couple of months since this person's asked for this information to be put on an agenda for our discussion and attention, and apparently that's going to happen sometime in the near future. But I did want to draw your attention to the fact that there is a meeting in Neenah Public Library on Thursday at 6:30 for a public discussion about flock cameras. If you want to hear what constituents in Neenah and possibly your districts are thinking about this, it's a good way to connect to your supervisor, your districts. I'm just concerned that we need to make sure we're paying attention to what people want, not what we think they want. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Karen D. Powers. I live at 2563 Village Lane in Oshkosh, and I'm here to thank those who have responded to the tornado disaster. In our county employees, emergency management, the sheriff's department, the highway department, public health, planning and zoning, human services, solid waste, parks and rec, land and water conservation, IT, and facilities. Additional contributors include new clothes from Gunderson Cleaners in Menasha, the football field for Menasha High School practice and games from Lawrence University in Appleton, companies feeding people, Hands of Hope Disaster Relief from Waco, Texas, Mercy Chefs from Portsmouth, Virginia, Operation Barbecue Relief from multiple states, churches which have contributed to the feeding or have been feeding people, All Saints Episcopal Church, Appleton, Calvary Bible Church, Neenah, Christ the Rock Community Church, Menasha, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Neenah and in Appleton, Iglesia Pentecostal Familia en Cristo in Neenah, Mill City Church, Neenah, St. Ansgar Episcopal Church in Heartland, St. Patrick Roman Catholic Church, Menasha, St. Paul Episcopal Church, Plymouth, St. Paul Lutheran Church, Neenah, and companies that donated pallets of water, Hy-Vee Grocers out of Green Bay, Quick Trip out of La Crosse, Random Lake Bottlers, Random Lake, Wisconsin in Sheboygan County, and Rhyme Office Equipment in Oshkosh. If there are others that you know of and you want to send me an email, I'll remember them at the special orders meeting in September.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the board? Yes, sir.
James Alexandroni. I live in Wausau, Wisconsin. I've been down here since the night of the impact of the tornado, and we've recently had, in the spring, an EF3 tornado tear through Ringgold. Some of the things that I'm noticing are debris being hauled off with no accurate assessment of values of those contents of personal property for the homeowners that were affected. Plans are being made to demolish the houses that are deemed total loss. Structural 3D digital twins of those structures to recover for the homeowners that were affected is going to be near impossible unless we have a professional company coming in with scanners, camera equipment to be able to detect square footage of the structure to get total home value recovery and itemized inventory documented with report valuations for homeowners to get full recovery for their personal contents as well. One of the examples that I have is in the Ringgold tornado. The company that was out there, Shield Companies, they came through. One homeowner had a $70,000 settlement offer for their personal contents and their dwelling. After the valuation and the scan of their structure, they settled and closed at $485,000. So that difference is the difference between residents of this county, Neenah, Menasha, Fox Crossings, all that were affected, being able to rebuild and remain in the community, and also the county and municipalities taking on that tax burden for the next 20 years. So I have a few documents. I'll leave them up here. If anybody would like to grab them afterwards for review or ask me any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the board? Yes, sir.
Hello, I'm Cameron Chapin. I live at 5623 West Raymore Road in Amro, Wisconsin. I have 2 minutes and 6 pages of notes, so I'm going to go ahead and start. I have a list of problems that data centers cause, and I am in support of the data center moratorium. for the following reasons. Data centers cause water scarcity, drought, noise pollution causing disrupted sleep to the residents that live in those areas, poor air quality. There's a University of Cambridge study indicating rising land surface temperatures. There's property damage so bad that no one wants to live there, as per the Miley Kaczynski case just in Beaver Dam, only a few miles away from us. There are reduced and decimated bee populations, which of course pollinate our fruits and vegetables, so it's just as important to our well-being as it is to them to keep them alive and well. There are farmers reporting no new calves birthed since a new data center was built near their farm. The American Lung Association identifies data centers as using particulate matter, nitrogen oxides, and other pollutants linked to asthma, heart disease, and premature death. There's also a report by Caltech and the University of California, Riverside, estimating that data centers will be responsible for about 1,300 deaths in the U.S. yearly by the year 2030. The recent Menasha tornado raises water conservation concerns. It shows that we have a much more fragile water supply than we think. I was personally texted asking to conserve water so that my fellow residents in Menasha area or in Winnebago could have water, just to drink, just to live. We shouldn't have to compete with the data center for those things. Last thing is that the first data center payout of $20.5 million to a small town in Oregon from Amazon just dropped. There were 70 wells that were tested and came back with high nitrates. These caused higher levels of cancer and dying in the people that surrounded that area. And also the people and the cattle could not get pregnant. For all these reasons, I'd ask you to continue the moratorium. Thank you. And I trust that you're doing your own research.
Would anybody else like to address the board tonight? Yes, sir.
Good evening. I am Asher O'Callaghan. I live at 1235 Walnut Street here in Oshkosh, and I serve as pastor of All Saints Lutheran Church here in town. I'm also a part of a ministerium from across Oshkosh, including clergy from my denomination, the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America, the United Church of Christ, the Presbyterian Church USA, the United Methodist Church, and Episcopal churches. As clergy and as members of this community, we plan to be present at county board meetings from time to time, not always to speak on every issue, but to remain informed about the decisions that affect our neighbors and communities, and to speak when we are called to do so by our faith and by Christ's command that we love our neighbors as ourselves. So first, I want to express my gratitude to you all and to members of the county staff. The work that you all do is complicated and it's often thankless, but it's vital to the health and well-being of our whole community. So thank you for your service. There's a number of issues that bring our faith communities into conversation with your all's work. Tonight, for example, I want to speak in favor of the ratification of the proclamation of a county emergency following the tornado. Our communities continue to recover, and recognizing the scope of that emergency is an important part of responding faithfully and responsibly to our neighbors who are in need. And then I also wanted to express support for the proposed 12-month moratorium on new data center applications. This is not an opposition to development or to technology. Rather, I think it's important that any development of data centers happen equitably and responsibly without placing undue burdens on our infrastructure or on the communities that are going to bear the consequences. So a 12-month pause could give county staff the time that they need to develop a thoughtful regulatory framework so that future decisions can be made with adequate information and with the well-being of our whole communities in mind. So thank you again for your service and for allowing me a few moments.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the board tonight? Are you?
Hello, Shiloh Ramos, address 1313 Nicolay Boulevard in Neenah, also County Supervisor, District 5. I happen to live in the area of Neenah that particularly was impacted by the tornado on July 27th, as well as obviously representing the individuals of that neighborhood. And I just wanted to take the opportunity to personally thank so many folks, and I certainly cannot name them all. But I can tell you, the county response has been impressive. I can tell you the city response has been impressive. I can tell you the response by local community members throughout our county has been absolutely impressive. I had individuals in my neighborhood, as well as personally in my yard, that came from throughout the county, frankly, even outside of the county. I had individuals come from Wisconsin Rapids helping out in my neighborhood as well. I can tell you, and I still want to thank nonetheless, those individuals who were in my neighborhood as well as in my yard, who I saw at a glance but never even had an opportunity to come talk to them. I can tell you that some of those individuals came to my neighborhood day after day, back to back, over and over again, doing very hard work, as you can imagine, cutting trees, hauling debris, providing food. So many of the organizations that Supervisor Powers referred to, I can tell you were in my community. I did the best I could, and I'll continue to do more for those around me. And there were certainly others who were hit much harder than I was. But I'll share a quick story since I have 25 seconds. In the past, I have responded medically, a lot of you know that I'm a physician, for disaster relief in hurricane regions down south. Well, I can tell you after Hurricane Katrina, I was operating part of a mobile clinic. And when we were the first ones of that type of mobile clinic to come down, the individuals who met us said, "Where are you from?" And I said, "We're from Wisconsin." And he smiled and he said, "Oh, good." To the effect of something like, "You all know how to get things done." That's the true story, and what I can tell you is Winnebago County and the folks in this county know how to get things done. I know there's more to do, but what has been done up so far has been very impressive, and I just want to thank everyone involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to address the county board? All right, seeing none, that portion of the agenda is closed. Thank you all for your comments. Communications from Winnebago County Clerk Julie Bartles.
Good evening, everyone. We have 3 resolutions from other counties, one from Clark, one from Greene County, one from Monroe. They'll all be referred to the Legislative Committee for supporting sustainable state funding for local public health departments. We have one petition for a zoning amendment that will be referred to the Planning and Zoning Committee for Darren Lett, Town of Winneconne, rezoning from 8-2 to R1 for lots 1 and 2 for tax parcel number 030041203. We have 2 notices of claims that will be referred to the Personnel and Finance Committee. One from Catherine Youngenberg for damage to her vehicle from a Winnebago County vehicle, and one from Dan Hafmeyer for damage to his vehicle by road work. And that's all I have.
Thank you very much. Are there any additions or corrections to the proceedings/minutes of the July 21st meeting? Any additions or corrections? Without objection, those minutes are approved. County Executive hints.
You missed the committee reports.
Oh, wait, sorry. Yes, thank you very much for that. Backing up, are there any reports from the committees, commissions, and boards? Supervisor Binder.
Sorry.
I'd just like to give a little update on the conference I attended. It was a good conference. Larry Lautenschlager and I sat in with the Human Services. Normally it's just for directors, but we asked a few years ago if we could sit in because Bill Sophie usually doesn't come to their conference. And I was just amazed at the foster care. I mean, I know a buddy of mine that's got their foster parents, and they got a Down syndrome, probably 30-year-old, and they treat them just like family. And then I'm listening to these directors, they're telling me like 20% of youth age out of Wisconsin become homeless, almost turning, after turning 18. Up to 42% experience at least one episode of homelessness by the age of 21. Education, 25% of them don't finish high school, or even get a GED. 3 to 4% graduate from college at the age of 26. 50% have substance abuse. 25% have post-traumatic stress disorder. And over 70% of the women are pregnant by the age of 21. I just, I think we're failing when it comes to foster care. And I talked to Bill Tobel at Tom Egan's funeral and asked him, I said, are these really factual numbers? He goes, yes, that's why we always try to get them back in with their families. And they have usually better success there. It's on the agenda for Human Services to discuss what our goals are in foster care this month. So if you have time to make it to the Human Services meeting, I plan on attending. I just think we can do better for our youth than what I'm reading here. And I sure hope that, they have a brighter future. I couldn't imagine being 18 and reading these statistics and thinking that's what I got to look forward to. That's sad, And one other thing I'll mention is in 2025, the federal government took away 273 grants valued at $820 million. And they're working on language to make it easier to take those grants back. And I think the federal government should do their due diligence. And once they award that money to a county or a municipality, that money needs to stay there. Because you start a project and all of a sudden they take $8 million away from you, now you gotta refinance that, and that's very hard to do. It's something when you apply, you would have done the project probably without the grant, and then they have that grant pulled away from you because maybe they didn't like the way you were spending your money in the county. So they are gonna work to try to get the legislative, to work with Congress to keep the language at least the way it is instead of making it more easily where they can take the money back from the municipality. And then the capital gains tax on basically, when you want to downsize, it's currently at $250,000 for a single, $500,000 for a couple, and it hasn't been updated in 30 years. They'd like to see it at $500,000 and $1 million. They say there's $48 trillion worth of housing that isn't being turned around because people don't want to pay the capital gains, and they wait until they die, and then the children won't have to pay the capital gains. And the same with the mileage rate for the charitable mileage rate, 14 cents. It's been 14 cents since 1997. They adjust the business rate every year. Business rate, I believe, is 76 cents. So if you want to drive for like Meals on Wheels or pick a veteran up, take him to a doctor's appointment, you get 14 cents a mile, and you have to basically itemize your taxes to get that. So they'd like to see that basically increase. And I don't know why it wouldn't be. They do the business one every year. Why wouldn't you do that? All three of them. There's medical, charitable, and business. All three of them should be increased every year. And that's what I'm for.
Thank you. Supervisor Powers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One church did fall off my list, I'm sorry. St. Thomas Episcopal Church in Menasha lost power at noon on Monday, didn't come back until Saturday, and they immediately pulled out grills and had been feeding people 3 meals a day for a couple of weeks, and are still feeding people every day dinner anyway. So St. Thomas Episcopal Church in Menasha. Thank you.
Vice Chairman Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A request was made that flock cameras be placed on the Judiciary and Public Safety agenda, and I understand the interest in this topic. After the request, I began reviewing carefully case law. I sought input from the sheriff and from Corporation Counsel, because Winnebago County has something very unusual happening. We currently have 2 deputies running for sheriff. I am aware of at least one deputy making public comments regarding this particular item. We also have 2 supervisors running for state assembly in different districts, one of whom serves on the Judiciary and Public Safety Committee. I approached Corporation Counsel and sought for a legal opinion because of this concern of the unusual circumstances having to make this an agenda item. Corporation Counsel is in complete agreement that moving forward at this time under these circumstances create a clear risk of violating or appearing to violate Wisconsin State Statute 19.591A. This is codified in the County Board rules in Section 0, role of the County Board Supervisors. Corporation Counsel advises that even creating the appearance of impropriety by adding this as a discussion item or voting on the item can undermine the confidence and could be perceived as using the prestige of one public office to financially motivate or solicit contributions for another public office. Even if members were to abstain from voting, discussion in a committee or board setting could be perceived as using one office to gain impact or to gain advantage for another office. While the statute does not specifically impact the deputies running for sheriff, an argument could be fashioned that the Committee of Jurisdiction, Judiciary and Public Safety, for the sheriff's office is affording a public forum for the advantage of one candidate over another. Public business must follow a process that protects the integrity of the office, not a preferred political timeline. The committee will continue to handle its responsibilities in the proper order under the rules that govern us. I respectfully ask that the recalcitrant comments and attacks be withdrawn. Corporation Counsel advises, and I totally agree, that this should not be an agenda item until after the November 2026 election. Thank you.
Supervisor Laux.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm Amber, Supervisor, that's it, Gilferson, is absent today. And so I am supposed to say what the upcoming events for the UW Extension are. I apologize if I missed something. So please forgive me if this doesn't go well. There is a mental health first aid workshop on September 3rd and 10th. And there is a introduction to plain language virtual training on September 22nd, and then a second one that is, they're two separate ones. October 6th, and there's also a conference called Fathers in Focus on October 10th, and that is in person in Madison. And if you'd like more information of that, please contact me. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Hinz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First off, with relation to the tornado that happened up north, I just would like to relay that for the most part, county facilities and property got through that unscathed. We are not looking at any serious damage on our county properties. And also that other county business has to keep going on, including our meeting that we have next Tuesday at 3:30 p.m. on Knapp Street. There's not really anything exciting on there except for the fact that we are going to have Richard Beal from the Barlow Planetarium there to give us an update. There's some new and exciting news that I'm not going to steal his thunder and share here. So if you want to find out what he has to report on, either join us online or show up at the meeting or watch us on video afterwards. So looking forward to seeing some of you there. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Hancock-Cook.
Thank you, Chairman. I am not specifically reporting on a committee, commission, or board, but actually on one of our supervisors who we often don't know about the outside lives of supervisors. But one of our supervisors did receive a very important award this month, the Michael J. Falconer Award for Distinguished Service from the Governor's Committee for People with Disabilities. Supervisor Schultz is the one who received that award. Supervisor Schultz also rode his wheelchair all the way to Madison, and you've probably seen the coverage, talking about the fact that we are losing money for people with disabilities. We are losing funding all over the place, and we need to make sure that we are supporting people. I'm concerned. I know that it's difficult to get aids with the funding that is provided. It's difficult, and that causes challenges for all people with disabilities, but I know that for Supervisor Schultz, it limits his ability to be out in the public. And I think that that's something we need to look at as a board, that we are aware of what's happening to our people and people with disabilities in our community. But I also just want to really applaud Supervisor Schultz for his award. Thank you.
Are there any other names? Anyone else? Yes, Supervisor Dowling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could Vice Chairman Hansen just clarify who had requested the flock camera issue be added to the agenda? Was it anyone specifically in this room?
It was a member of the public, and then you heard it during public comment here. That is exactly what was being referred to. No more, no less.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Would anybody else like to speak to a committee, commission, or board? Okay. County Executive Hints.
Good evening. We've got a bunch to get through. Hope you all got a chance to go out to the fair. A little rainy on Friday, but another good week. That caused numbers to be down a little bit, and maybe we'll have an update that on another date, or maybe when we do the budget workshop, and we're looking at our consideration for funding that year. I want to go through a couple of items. I do want to mention at the beginning here that the special orders meeting on September 1st, and talking to Chairman Forsetto, we're going to have emergency manager or director of emergency management, Eric Rasmussen, is going to speak about emergency management, the preparation and response for the flooding that we had. We may as well also talk about the snowstorm, but obviously about the tornado, so we get an idea of everything that goes into the mechanics of emergency response and the details of where things are when that comes up on September 1st. And I think when I get through the tornado and the rest of my report, if there are questions, Eric may be on, but we're having technical problems. Oh, we can call him. So, and then I have the other items that we have up there as well. And you should have received, if you check your email, the slideshow that I have before you. We try to get it out to you after the fact, but some of the detail that we have in the tornado response, I wanted to get out in front of you in case I cook through it a little quick. So just getting into that, I happened to be sick in bed with a fever. When I got my phone was vibrating that we were getting hail, and there was a storm water, the National Weather Service, and then Eric texted me that Menasha got hit by a tornado, and then the sirens went off in Oshkosh. About within, immediately after the storm moved on, Emergency Operations Center was created at the Sheriff's Department, and so this includes, emergency management, the Sheriff, Highway, Public Health, Human Services, Solid Waste, Facilities, Planning and Zoning, sort of anybody that's got a hand in things, but also immediately representatives and officials from Fox Crossing, Neenah, Menasha, and Town and Neenah were in touch as well, and things got up and running. A lot of involvement, obviously, from the sheriff, first responders, public works that were going to be dealing with things on the ground. Obviously, the details of the storm have been out there. We've been, putting it together, the description of it as we file forms for FEMA, but a massive size and power was on the ground for 27 minutes and was almost a mile wide. Remarkably, and each day after that, we were preparing ourselves to report on, we would say, are you sure no one's dead? Are you sure no one's missing? You would see a house that was entirely collapsed, and it was a miracle. And we did have 66 tornado-related calls from Gold Cross, 31 patient transports in those initial days. We started getting calls by the end of that first week for more recovery injuries. If you saw, Public Health was doing graphics on how to use a chainsaw properly, because we were having people that were, impaling themselves or other things, and they tried to do some of the clearance themselves. The total structure damage, approximately 2,000 homes and businesses. It's hard to kind of figure out to what extent. I think you heard the gentleman speak in public comment about trying to determine, what's salvageable and what's not. It's estimated that as many as 400 homes will have to be taken down entirely. But, the inspections people have gone through and sort of tagged what's inhabitable and what's not. You see the details on what Menasha faces with the 140 likely to be demolished and the 523 moderately to severely damaged. And to what I think Supervisor Lulks was speaking to when she was speaking, the area that was impacted is disproportionately, high rental, lower income, working class, which is going to make some of the recovery challenging in the, not just in the immediate, and I'll talk a little bit about that, but in the weeks, months, and years ahead. I too, I think I should have done that earlier. Too, want to recognize the county departments. Emergency management takes the lead. They're the one who creates the Emergency Operations Center. In those immediate days, we sort of had a routine of meeting in the morning and meeting in the afternoon. I think the days sort of blended together. An emergency declaration was requested and granted by the governor. The National Guard request was made and granted, I believe, on Thursday, the 30th. This was one where it was sort of, a learning process so that you don't just get 500 National Guard coming out of parachutes and with shovels and dump trucks to clean everything up, but there are pretty strict rules and restrictions over, what they can do, how they can help, the public right-of-way and whatnot. They were really there on a defined mission to supplement the efforts that were going on with Public Works and the cleanup efforts that were underway to help us being able to, access the streets and properties so the utilities could restore power and those things. Fox Campus, also, a lot of you I know I ran into up there. Both the Volunteer Resource Center and the Multi-Agency Resource Center were held on our campus, so we were fortunate that power got back on there. Mike Elder and his team at Facilities made sure that we were able to deal with things even though that internet was out, and so we had trouble controlling the temperature and HVAC system as a result, but people, it was either, too cold or too hot. The EOC operated there at the Sheriff's Department until August 5th, until it moved up until Menasha, where they hold it locally, and we have a virtual call that was daily through today and will be going twice a week. Those first few days, you had rounds of first responders going door to door on the ground to check. I think they almost did 3 rounds in the 72 hours. There was a boil water alert. The Menasha water utility was impacted. They're on City of Neenah water right now, but parts of Fox Crossing and parts of Menasha were impacted. FEMA was up last week, touring the damage and doing their assessment, and that was conducted for individual assistance on the 12th and 13th. And then they're this week doing virtual public assistance as well. You can read about kind of what the process is from there. I think in the Managing Expectations Department, I'll remind folks that, the flood that hit in April in northwest Winnebago County and in Outagamie and Wapaka, they just received their free FEMA assistance, in July. 3 months after. So it doesn't happen immediately, and in some cases, those amounts weren't exactly what people were expecting. And so we're working with our federal delegation who are on the ground early to make sure they're going to bat with the administration in Washington to hopefully get this assistance. Sheriff, I put, details in there about what each department did, and it really was, incredible to see the county stepping up. My only thing was not just to do what you do, but to do everything that you can do. It isn't just about, well, this is my responsibility and I have to do this. It is that part of our county and part of our community got hit by a tornado. What is it that you can do to go above and beyond to support people in their time of need? It wasn't about, well, that's not my job. And I think I saw that time and time again from our departments, from people sitting next to each other. You can see the details on the number of calls that came in, how the sheriff's office responded. A lot of local law enforcement agencies from the region came to help out Neenah and Menasha as they ran, curfews at night, as they ran, traffic patrol, as they did other things that they needed assistance for. Public Health and Director Doug Guerin have been amazing on the ground. Given that they had relationships with a lot of the groups that serve individuals in the community, from the refugee communities to some of the other nonprofits that provide direct assistance, they were able to help navigate and provide support for the Volunteer Resource Center as well. Human Services was at the table as well, doing a variety of things, including support shelter with mental health counselors. I want to mention what I was saying before, it came up the other day, but in the community, there were no place for people that were at their homes to go to the bathroom if their home was destroyed or they were working on it or clearing debris and someone needed to get porta potties. And well, that's not really part of Human Services' job, but Director Renee Sorko stood up and she took charge of organizing porta potties in the community. And that's what I wanted to see from the county, and saying, yes, it is not in your job description, but that's the kind of stepping up we needed. And I was proud of our folks for doing it. Highway, obviously, we're able to help clear debris. A lot of people saw that initial video footage of the twisted metal that was out on 441 and some of the cars that were overturned. Highway certainly helped with that. I think helped come through town of Neenah and some other places where roads were blocked initially. Saw Adam Dorn a lot from planning and zoning, not just with helping with drone footage, but I just kept seeing repeated detailed maps of what neighborhoods have we cleaned up, what neighborhoods are blocked, where is power. If you needed to visually see a representation of what the community looked like and where things were impacted, it was the county GIS staff that was stepping up to put that data and put the inputs in and then show it so that we were better able to and more effectively respond. Solid Waste Department, when you've got to get rid of this much debris and you're trying to tell people with limited terrace space that you got to separate, your home that's been demolished with brush, and you're trying to answer people's questions about where things can go, and you're trying to coordinate, well, Outagamie is closer and you can go to that dump, and you're trying to get the hours open longer. Kathy and her team from Solid Waste were, making sure that we were doing everything possible to both answer people's questions and to accommodate and make easier the process of disposing things, and making sure we were working with our local municipalities on that as well. IT, working with our team, I can say one of the things, the county has had a page dedicated to the recovery, tornado recovery, that's had over 29,000 views to date. It's updated regularly, sort of a one-stop shop. IT has obviously been very responsive, even at a time that they've been impacted, because we've had fiber up there that has been, impacted, and you can see that we've tried to help out too with, Gold Cross and some other people when we can. Land and Water assisted with data processing and GIS viewers. And, even what Adam from Parks said, we've got some chippers. Should I reach out to their Parks Department and see if we can go out there and, chip some branches and stuff? And both Neenah and Menasha took them up on it. But was happy to send staff and the equipment that we had to be able to help out in any way possible. So that was a lot of the county response from different departments, but we're 3 weeks in. It is haunting if you haven't been up there, especially in the last few days, when a lot of the debris has been cleared. There are no trees in some blocks. There's tarps, things are blocked up. There aren't, people around some houses. We still have a lot of basic needs. I want to thank the supervisors on the ground that represent those communities for being voices for a lot of those folks, not just, with the community organizations on the ground, but in contacting and working with me on how we can better connect and use our voice to direct resources out there to those people. A lot of people are burning through the money that they have right now, and we're kind of at that phase where if you've had to live out of a hotel, or if you can't meet the deductible on your home insurance, or if you can't, your insurance doesn't cover the removal of a lot of the things that you have on your property, you're in trouble. And we need to get direct financial assistance in the hands of the people that need it. I think that is, coming from the recovery fund. Supervisor Lulks mentioned housing. I think Menasha had the tightest housing market in the area before the storm. And we've talked about it as county leaders here about the need for additional housing. The market is going to get tighter. We're going to do everything we can, to match people with available housing, to figure out how to best absorb, accommodate. We had a housing team that kind of met today that had beginnings of a conversation on that. But I think for all of us, there's sort of the immediate, and then I think we will be talking about this as a county for some time. What is the role that county government can play in supporting the communities impacted, going forward? Because they are our partners, just like they were in the hours afterwards, the days afterwards, the weeks afterwards, the months afterwards, and the years afterwards. So we'll continue to work together, and I think we can continue to have that discussion. Budget process. So the executive budget process is underway. We met with departments first, and then last week we started meeting with departments and committee chairs to go through the proposed budget. So these are the departments that, these are the budget requests that have been made by departments. So decisions haven't been made as to what will be included in the proposed budget, but both with the meeting with the departments and with the committee chair meeting, wanted to hear it together. We're still looking at sort of the overall financial picture of where we think we are financially, so that we can see if we can, what we can afford and what fits into that budget as we make decisions. Most of the budgets were based on cost to continue. In other words, if you're to do everything that you did last year, this year, how much would it cost? We budgeted for a 3.4% cost to continue budget increase to reflect cost of living adjustment and a 2% merit pay. Our goal is obviously to try to really focus on employee retention, given that the cost to the county in terms of lost productivity and lost costs when you have turnover is high. I think we know that we had the study a few years ago that showed that we were behind both private pay and public pay. And we've been making good strides that we want to continue on, both in terms of the PTO plan, and reasonable increases. We haven't made that final decision because we have to see what the overall financial picture is. But in the department requests, handful of new positions, position changes, programmatic needs, line item operating requests. We've asked departments to build their budgets around their missions and service needs, and obviously aligning staffing program and resources with county priorities. So those meetings with committee chairs and the departments heads go through the end of this week. And then over the weeks following that, we will be going through to create our budget document. It is our goal to give you all the proposed budget and the budget in brief like we did last year at the budget workshop or kickoff on the 17th. That's a Thursday, correct, I think? There's not a Packer game again, is there? Didn't we do that last year? Okay, good. Yeah, I knew we did something last time, and I thought we ran the schedule, but That just means you would be at the morning session. And then, those of you that remember, all of the committees meet at least once after the budget workshop. So you will get a chance to review the budget in detail at the committee level. So if there are changes, amendments, questions that you would like to make, at the committee level, that is a time to do it. And again, sometimes you can, if you want to do an amendment with a vote and have it come out of a committee so it has stronger endorsement, you still can do amendments on the floor. But I think one of the reasons we were able to work more effectively and efficiently on the night of the budget was, because a lot of the work was done earlier. I mean, by getting it done in committee and by doing it, not being rushed, we were able to do the amendment process and verify and validate and understand what we were doing, and not on a napkin in the hallway or in a back room. So the budget workshops that we'll hold will be at Sunnyview. They'll be the same. I know we had some very eager supervisors that like to come to both. Go-getters. Will probably be better the second time around. But the food at both was outstanding. So we'll take care of that. But, the goal is going to be to go what's in the budget, some high-level budget themes. All department heads will be there. What the significant changes are, what some of the macro-level budget are, what some of the proposed line items are. And then, as I mentioned before, the committees can go through the individual department items. But, you should have a proposed budget book and then the budget in brief as well, which I think we're going to try to add a little more information in for the new supervisors. We did sort of a 13 or 14-page budget snapshot that kind of summarized what was in the budget last year, so you'd be able, have it in front of you to reference. It's one that we took into the community as well that tried to kind of summarize where the money goes, where it comes from, what some of the decisions we're making are, to get a better understanding. The committee hearings, as I mentioned before, department heads will provide a deep dive into the figures, program, staffing. I think this is pretty straightforward. And again, council will be available at those, so that's where if you want to draft an amendment, we'll make sure Mary Ann and her team are on site to do it. Next up, I think you should have, I know we were chopping down a lot of trees today, but you should have gotten a lot of paper. We probably isn't quite formatted exactly how I wanted it. The tornado definitely took some time away from the last few weeks. If you remember, I think in April or May, after the first quarter of the year, we wanted to give an update on how we're doing on some of the things that were included in the budget and an update on what's happening in some departments. The big page here has a lot of the individual budget items that were in the 2026 budget, whether they've happened, whether they're on track, where those things are. Let's see, I gotta see where I am in my notes. I've been freestyling. The narrative booklet provides supplemental updates from department heads that goes beyond the spreadsheet. So some of these may highlight operational changes, performance metrics, or expand on the new initiatives. And I guess what I meant before is, I've been trying to give clearer directions to departments about what we're looking for in quarterly updates. Again, I want us to be able to, as a board, look back at our decisions to make sure we're doing what we said we did, but also in real time, look at how we're doing in our fund summaries to see if, it looks like we're going to end the year with more money or less money, and be able to do that. I probably didn't have the time to condense it or make it quite as uniform because, departments responded, but each a little differently from each other. So we're hopefully by third quarter, which we'll do in November, given the budget, we'll be able to look at things. And we're still working on this, but if you have feedback, good or bad, please reach out to my office. I did want to highlight a couple things that are in there for you. Human Services budgets its placements, like Lincoln Hills. So if we have a juvenile offender, that has to go to, that gets placed up in Lincoln Hills, we base that budget on historical averages. A lot of placements that we have to places in the county carry a low or medium costs, but Lincoln Hills, which is the state's secure juvenile detention facility, carries a high cost of more than $1,000 a day. Well, how do you budget for something when you don't know how many people you're going to be referring to a place that costs, $1,000 a day? We've had some years we've had multiple people, and for years we haven't had anybody. So we budget for a 3-month placement. In other words, $3,000 a day or whatever it is, times 90. Most years we don't have any placements, but when we do, they're likely to be there longer than 3 months, which creates a budgeting dilemma for us. We don't want to budget for expenses we don't realize, but we don't want to get a bill that we can't pay for. So we budget for 3 months of a placement, knowing that if we do have a placement, we can come back to the board for authorization of further expenses from the reserve fund. Now, we haven't had a placement in Lincoln Hills for a while, but this year we do. And you'll read in your Human Services update that we have had a placement that may be released later this year. We may have enough budgeted in other placement buckets to cover this, but if not, we may have to come to the board for a budget amendment to be able to fund that this year. The Highway Department notes that we've completed work on County Highways A and E. We have County Highways II, M, and P under construction right now. IT had a capital project for a phone system replacement. Their update mentions 17 responses to the RFP that required the evaluation team to review, analyze, and score. Tonight, you're going to consider approving a 3-year contract for service on the new system, which I think will save $30,000. Boat launch revenue is up slightly through the second quarter of '26 over '25, for those following that. Parkview budgeted for a reduction in overtime expenses. You'll see that they're down more than $30,000 in OT expenses year over year. Again, there's a lot in these reports, and we're working towards a better format each time we go through this. And I know I've got a lot on the calendar tonight. These reports probably got a little buried under the tornado response, but I'd encourage you to review them and reach out to my office for any questions you have. And I think it's a good time to look at those as we head into some of the budget. Tonight, I mentioned it before, that it would be coming. You'll consider an ordinance to enact a data center moratorium for 12 months. I do want to reiterate that this will only impact 4 towns. If this is passed, we'll be working with the other municipalities in the county to collaboratively approach data center development in Winnebago County. This measure is not intended necessarily to stop or prevent data center construction, but really to give the municipalities time to evaluate what proper regulations that would look like, that would protect the environment, residents, utility ratepayers, and also enhance our county's economic development. So I know Oshkosh is already taking up a moratorium. Our planning and zoning department will be working with them. Once we start looking at these things, getting some things drafted, we'll have some hearings to get additional feedback. Lastly, really excited about this one. Want to thank Justin from the Parks Department. Some of you in Oshkosh may be aware, but for the last few years, there's been something in the city called the Slow Roll, where bikers in the community meet at a location, restaurant, bar, and then they take over the streets. I think there were as many as 220 bicycles going on sort of a 5-mile ride around the community. People of all ages, some bikes with speakers on them. And the August Slow Roll, the 4th one of the summer, is going to be at Winnebago County Park, which is kind of cool because you won't be going to the streets. And I said it was originally scheduled. They're all on the 3rd Tuesday of the month. And when they scheduled it on the 3rd Tuesday of the month at Winnebago County Park, I said, can you not do it the night of the county board meeting? Because I've got 36 supervisors that all ride bikes to the county board meeting that want to be there. So The fourth slow roll is at the meeting at Shelter 5 by the soccer fields off of Snell Road. There'll be a beer, the concession stand will be open, serving beer for a social hour with snacks and drinks. And then the ride starts at 6:30, and it'll go through County Park and over to Sunnyview. We are going to have the Parks Department highlighting some of the developments there with the new soccer fields, rugby field, as well as some of the Expo Center things. I think Public Health may be out there, and East Central Regional Planning, and maybe the Veteran Service Office. So hoping to get a good turnout as we kind of draw more people to County Park and even look at new ways to maybe enhance biking. This week, we're doing the employee appreciation events. Last year, we did food trucks over 3 days. The participation level was great. We give employees a coupon, and we try to move food trucks around to bring them to the various county buildings Thursday through Monday. For third shift workers and others, we find ways to try to accommodate them and make sure that everybody gets, recognized with a good meal. We had great weather outside last time. And again, employees, if they're not there that day or can't be there, there'll be other opportunities over a couple of days, and they'll have a voucher. The schedule for these visits is included in the information on your desk, as well as a voucher for a meal, should you choose to join and mingle with some of the employees or just to check out some of our local food trucks. Lastly, we're under contract with McMahon Associates for our directors of planning and development, medical examiner, and human services. I think it's up and posted now, anticipating a 3-month process that'll have someone hired in place by the start of 2027 for all three. Sorry, that went a little long.
Okay, in advance of the Q&A, I just wanted to make a plea. We're still in the response and recovery phase coming out of the tornado. So for questions regarding the tornado response, if we could maybe withhold any critiques that we might be having and remember those for our September 1st special orders meeting, which is where we both had talked about we need to do a deep dive so that we can really get into the meat and potatoes, not just the county, but other municipalities as well. So I just throw that out there. So if anybody has any Q&As, Supervisor Buck.
I'll just talk now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just being legislators, in your past life, so thank you for this. As legislators at the table, I think oftentimes this gets missed. Thank you for that. My question is, I guess, going back to your past life as a legislator, when you passed the law, how long did it take to be enacted? You had to pass the law, an ordinance law, and the governor had to sign it, and that day the governor signed that ordinance law would be in place. Is that how it works at the state level?
It depends. So some laws specifically are drafted with an implementation date. So it'll go into effect on, and some of that will also be to develop administrative rules. So, they write as much detail into a law as possible, but there's sausage to be made after the sausage is made.
Thank you very much.
Supervisor Laux.
Laux. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So you gave me an opening into my thanks. I just want to make sure that the PTTFTEM specialist that we approved of in the last budget, it says they were very helpful, beneficial as we work through March's winter storm and April's flooding. I assume they were also helpful during the tornado.
Yeah, are you at the top of,
Yes. And my point is merely that to thank emergency management and the county, and that I've heard from my residents that they are very happy with how the county and emergency management and the cities and the towns and everybody's working together, but particularly they're happy with what the county and emergency management has been doing. And I'm very glad that we did move that person from part-time to full-time. And I hope to find out if they had anywhere near the amount of people that they needed for this, but that'll wait until the
I
special
can say that
orders.
person specifically has been absolutely dynamite, having sat there firsthand. And I'll also just say, you know, figuring out the lane and remembering that the county is the coordinating public entity, you know, with home rule, you know, with police and fire and public works on the ground in those municipalities. They are the direct boots on the ground. The county plays, you know, how do we fill in and support? You know, and Menasha has their own public health department, so we're, you know, but we'll do, if we can help in any way. So it's organizing, helping, doing the work to partner with emergency management. But, you know, sometimes I'm like, that's not mine, but how can I help?
The organization was done really well, and the outhouses, porta potties were great and very necessary. Don't overlook those. So thank you very much.
Vice Chairman Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, County Executive Hintz. I too, deepest gratitude to you, to your staff, to emergency management for pulling everything together in a real crisis. And I want to echo something that Supervisor Ramos also stated. Some real unsung heroes that I would like to make sure we recognize are the residents of this county, especially the deeply affected areas. It was an amazing thing to watch during some of the press conferences and the question and answers, especially at Menasha High School. The patience, the civility, and the sense of community that that happened right before us. But in watching what could have been and what maybe it was even thought of as possibly even concerning or disconcerting, just simply didn't happen because of the amazing people of this county and those impacted. So would like to recognize them as well. Thank you.
Supervisor Hancock Cook.
Thank you, Chairman. Two quick ones. The budget sessions are open to the public, is that correct? The budget workshops?
I think so.
Just
Yeah,
want
I
to
mean, I know
verify
we had
that
media there
for
last
anybody who's
time, and
listening, so I want to make sure.
I think if we're all going to be there.
Perfect. And then I want to just touch on the data center moratorium, reminding people a moratorium just means a temporary stop. It doesn't mean we're not doing, you know, it doesn't mean we're saying we'll never have a data center. How long, and I imagine this would be more efficient if it was at the state level, that we had clear guidelines and guardrails for what data centers can and cannot be. Are there any, do you know if there's legislation going before the state that's going to have that, or has it been crafted yet, or should we be crafting some here to share?
Yeah, I think there is, and I think it's campaign season, so you're hearing some more detailed proposals that are out there. I think there were, you know, one of our former colleagues actually had you know, a bill. You know, I think I mentioned it when I spoke in June or July, but a lot of you know, when we look into things that we can do at the local level versus what we can't do, it may be that we need to lobby our legislators to do things at the state level that we're unable to act on, that we need stronger state uniformity to be able to see the kind of protections and guidelines, you know, that we want, and it'd be better to be done at the state level. You know, and that's kind of part of the assessment and the evaluation.
And I just wanted to clarify, I haven't seen anything coming out of Wisconsin Counties Association around this yet, and I don't know if anybody else has, but I would expect that we'd see something there too, but haven't seen it yet.
I think Planning and Zoning mentioned that there have been, you know, in the time since we announced it, a couple dozen municipalities that have introduced moratoriums, I think all aimed at sort of buying time, but that is also the kind of thing that puts more support on state legislators to try to reach you know, a resolution. I think trying to find something that balances what local communities want to support or choose to support with something that at least have some safeguards in there. And again, to date, we've had no interest, no contact, no anything. I just don't like that we don't. And it'd be good to have some time to, think of how to do things on our own terms.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to ask a question of the county executive?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I just have a couple of things. As Supervisor Lux had indicated, Supervisor Gilbertson is excused this evening. And I did want to also extend my thanks to the Emergency Management Director, who did a pretty good job in helping coordinate and working with the local community, law enforcement, and emergency management folks in the initial response. I had spent some time down at the Emergency Operations Center, and it was obviously buzzing with trying to coordinate all the different response cadres that needed to be deployed out into the field. And a week after that, when I went down there, there was a handful of people there because everybody was out in the field helping out, which is the way it should be. And I want to also extend a thanks to all the supervisors that took their time to get to the impacted area when you could and to help out. And I think, as Vice Chairman Hanson just said, we all come together when it comes time to help each other out during disasters, and it kind of fuels our faith in humanity when these kind of things happen. Unfortunately, some people bear the brunt of it, but when we all come together, it's amazing how things can get done. So I want to extend my thanks. I will mention something, Supervisor Hancock-Cook, that you brought up regarding the counties. At the fall conference, there's a meeting on Sunday of all the county board chairs where they go through the various resolutions. We just received our packet a couple days ago, and so as I was going through it, there are a number of resolutions asking for the Wisconsin Counties Association to kind of take a leadership role in this and working with the legislators. So, and again, not to shut anything down, but really try to get ahead of the curve so that we can get not only more accurate information, but then also figure out ways in how we can develop the right policies around it. So, thank you. Okay. So, we've got some honoring retiring county employees. I'll turn it over to you, Supervisor Binder. We'll do one at a time, and then we'll have the proclamation read by the county clerk, and then the vote.
Resolution 4408, 2026, nomination for Laura Spenbauer.
I have a commendation for Lori Spanbauer. Lori Spanbauer began her career at the Highway Department on September 12, 1988, as Highway Secretary. As new duties were assigned, she was promoted to Account Clerk 2 and most recently promoted to Administrative Associate 4. During her 38-year career at the Highway Department, Lori had the daunting task of supporting 5 different highway commissioners and attended nearly 400 highway committee meetings, making sure every T was crossed and every I was dotted on those meeting minutes. Since 1988, every RFP, equipment bid specification, permit, payroll, and purchase order has passed across her desk. Congratulations on your well-deserved retirement. Your dedication, loyalty, and tireless work ethic have made a lasting impact on all who have worked around you. You will be greatly missed, and we can't thank you enough. Lori plans on completing some small home projects, spending time with family, and fulfilling dreams of traveling out west.
We have a motion to commend Winnebago County employee Laura Spanbauer. Is it there? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Supervisor Bender.
Resolution 4508, 2026, nomination for David
Dave Hubner began his career with Winnebago County on November 29, 2004, as a Highway Operator 1 at the Highway Department. His entire career at the Highway Department was dedicated to summer and winter maintenance on Interstate 41. During that time, he never turned down the opportunity to learn another task or a chance to operate another piece of equipment. He was extremely dedicated to his career and rarely missed a snow or ice event on his South 41 plow route. We will miss his dedication, work ethic, and extreme knowledge of snow and ice control. We thank Dave for keeping our state and county roads safe for the past 22 years and wish him safe travels as he trades in his Orange County truck for a motorized paraglider that you will see flying high around Winnebago County. His last day was Friday, July 17th, 2026.
There's a motion to commend Winnebago County employee David Hubner. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried.
I'll move resolution 4608, 2026, commendation for Melissa Schneider.
Melissa Schneider began her career with Winnebago County on July 17, 1990. After working in a few other departments, Melissa found her home in the Clerk of Courts. During her career with the Clerk of Courts, Melissa had several positions within the department, including criminal traffic clerk, court assistant, and finally, accounting supervisor. Melissa served as the accounting supervisor for over a decade, working with 4 different clerks of circuit court and 3 county executives. She led the department through several budget seasons and rolled with the changes such as the introduction of priority-based budgeting. Melissa was very organized and efficient at her job while also being welcoming and kind to both staff and customers. Congratulations to Melissa on her retirement. Her expertise and friendliness will be missed. Melissa plans on enjoying her time at home with her newly retired husband and traveling with family and friends with her eye on a trip around the world.
We have a motion to commend Melissa Schneider, Winnebago County employee. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Hopefully, you've all had a chance to go through the consent agenda. Would anybody like to pull any of the resolutions from the consent agenda? All right, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Hint? O'Brien. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carried. Supervisor Miller. Unless I'm missing something.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to make a motion to approve ordinance 57-082026 to amend Chapter 23 of the Winnebago County General Code to impose a 12-month moratorium on the receipt, processing, and approval of new data center zoning applications and establish a data center definition. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I may, just to let everybody know, we are not voting on whether we are in favor of data centers or opposed to data centers. This only puts a moratorium on it so that, that we have time to put regulations in place.
Supervisor Ramos.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm certainly supportive of this resolution. I just wanted to offer up one amendment for clarity, and that's really referring to the home rule. So if you take a look at this ordinance, it does a nice job on lines 33 and 34, where it says, whereas there are some towns subject to the zoning jurisdiction of Winnebago County pursuant to Winnebago County General Code, Chapter 23. I think there's value in our action steps to also ensure that there's language related that this only applies to any municipality under county zoning jurisdiction. So what I'm suggesting is, if you look on line 90, it says, "Be it further ordained that this ordinance shall not apply to." I would offer up after item 4 and item 5, saying any municipality in Winnebago County that is not under county zoning jurisdiction. Because this moratorium, because of home rule, unless Corporation Council tells me otherwise, would not apply. And I just think it adds clarity. We do a nice job in the resolution, talking about it earlier, but in the action steps, I didn't quite see that, so I'll offer that up as an amendment.
Is there a second to that amendment?
I'll second it. Ranky.
Thank you. Questions on the amendment? Questions on the amendment?
Certainly,
Yes.
certainly. And just to clarify with everyone, this is under the line where it says, "Be there further ordained that this ordinance shall not apply to." I'm offering up that you add an item 5 where it would not apply to any municipality in Winnebago County that is not under county zoning jurisdiction.
Okay.
And just to clarify, I'm offering that up simply because it doesn't apply to those, and I think it adds some clarity to the resolution.
That's a very good clarification.
Thank you.
Yes. Supervisor Buck, are you going to talk on the main?
Yep.
Okay. Is there anybody else that would like to speak to the amendment? Supervisor O'Brien.
Yeah, just to clarify, so the amendment is to say that it doesn't apply to where it doesn't apply? I'm not clear on that.
You want me to take a stab at that? There are 4 towns that are under Winnebago County jurisdiction in zoning. Nakaimai, Amro, Algoma, and Townanina. All the other municipalities, whether they're city or villages, they're on their own, but all the other towns have their own zoning. So what Supervisor Ramos is looking at is clarifying whatever that line was earlier in the resolution to specifically say those towns that are not under county jurisdiction, this is not going to apply. So I understand the clarification. And I also understand your point about, well, if this doesn't apply to you, why are we making it clear?
I guess that's just the question. Okay, so it's just, we're saying something that's already enacted.
Most municipalities that are not under county jurisdiction should know that, but for the general public who doesn't have a clue about
Right.
perhaps that,
Okay.
the boundary issues, it's a good clarification, and it doesn't change the intent of the resolution. Any other discussion on the amendment? Yes, ma'am. Supervisor Lux.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to clarify more, I have had fights with previous mayors, not the current mayor of Menasha, about whether a resolution we were passing applied in Menasha. And he didn't understand home rule. So it's good to point out home rule.
Okay, I'm not seeing any other supervisors wishing to speak on the amendment, so all those in favor of the amendment say aye. Opposed? Carried. Supervisor Buck, on the amended resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a tough one. I appreciate the committee deliberating over this, but I feel like we have a hole in our roof and no, timing of that is not great, but we're basically saying we're not going to address that hole in a year. I believe that we should be holding people accountable, holding these, those folks accountable. As a member of the Land and Water Conservation Committee, I believe we should be protecting our waterways, our lands, everything that we have in Winnebago County. So we have the ability to start and demand what we want to see in Winnebago County. So to me, passing this along a year is a long time. I asked the county executive the question about the state laws. Was mentioned that there is a current state law was proposed. We're going to have a new legislator come January 1st, and I would believe that that's probably one of the first things that they're going to take up. So my fear on pushing this out a year is that the mighty hand of the state government is going to come in, pass a law, and Winnebago County might be there holding the bag, or other communities will be first in line if they're offering incentives. One of the things that's happening right now is brownfield sites are being offered up for data centers. I know according to Supervisor Laux, we have a number of those in Winnebago County. And I guess I just believe that a year would be a long time for a moratorium or kicking the can down the road. So I would like to propose an amendment to changing the year to 6 months. I'm making a formal amendment to the
Is there
motion.
a second to that amendment? Chris Rosenau, second. Okay, discussion on the amendment from 12 months to 6 months. Who are you pointing to? You? Okay, Vice Chairman Hanson.
At the moment, neither opposed to or against the 6-month, but Supervisor Buck brings up a point about the state. Could I please impose on Corporation Council, whether it's 6 months or 12 months, can the state, don't we have home rule? I guess is what I'm asking, as opposed to someone from the state coming in and saying something. Or to Supervisor Buck, if I misunderstood what you were saying, because I'm now concerned.
Supervisor Buck asked me if there was anything in the law prohibiting this amendment, and I looked at it and didn't see that. But again, by the nature of this is a temporary pause, so be it either 12 months or 6 months, and as I told Supervisor Buck, there is a provision that if it turns out after 12 months, that's not sufficient time, there's a possibility to extend it another 6 months, so you could have 18 months, though this is only talking about 12 months, but it is a temporary pause. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, Supervisor Hanson.
I think so.
Okay, so
Mentioned that the state could pass something, and I guess my question is, doesn't Winnebago County have its own home rule?
well, I don't want to talk off the top of my head, I want to look into this, but if we have this ordinance in place, that, at least at this point, would be prevailing. Are you worried about basically shooting yourself in the foot by having a 12-month moratorium?
Yes and no. I pass, need to hear other comments.
Okay, I just want to make sure, Supervisor Dowling, did you want to speak to the amendment? Oh, okay. Supervisor Dowling.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hi, Corporation Council. If we do this for 6 months, can we extend it?
Yes. Under the law, this can be for 12 months, and you can have another 6-month extension.
Okay.
So you could have it up to 18 months.
Okay. Hypothetically, if we leave it at 12 months, can we cut it off early?
Well, sure, this is an ordinance, so you could come back and amend it. There's nothing preventing you from doing that.
Okay. The reason I'm asking is because government doesn't always work quickly. And I'm nervous that 6 months is not going to give us enough time.
I will say, not that based on the research that we did, the other communities that have been putting this forward have basically been using 12 months. We did not see anything that was under 12 months.
Thank you.
Okay, now Supervisor Lux.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
On
This
the-
is also
on
an
the
amendment.
amendment.
Yep.
Correct.
Well, it applies equally, so I'll just say it now. 71% of Americans are against data centers right now. 48 are strongly opposed. And the places that are building data centers, especially with NDAs and such like that, the people are losing trust in their government officials. And that's why I'm for the 12-month moratorium. And that's why I think we need 12 months. If we were to even look at a data center, it would take at least 12 months for us and Meta or whomever to build up the kind of trust that we need in our communities in order to build a data center without having everybody mad at us. So I think 12 months is good.
Okay, Counselor Miller?
Just to add one thing, as we said, this would be a temporary moratorium, so it would involve my office looking into this. We have a lot on our plate. It would involve planning and zoning looking into this. I know they have a lot on their plate, but that's just another factor that should probably play into your decision.
Supervisor Hancock-Cook, did you want to speak to the amendment on the floor or the amended resolution?
The amendment, it sort of applies to both, so if you don't mind, I talk
No,
now.
you're next up.
I don't support the amendment to 6 months. I prefer having a longer time period. I know government moves slowly, and understanding that it will take some time for all of the entities in Winnebago County to come up with what we think is the best set of guidelines and guardrails to manage that kind of development, and the fact that the county executives were talking about working with the other entities in Winnebago County who would also have to manage that, to hopefully have the same agreements that we have, or the same guardrails that we have. I think it will take time, so I do not support this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Macho, on the amendment or the amended resolution?
Supervisor Bucks.
Okay, thank you.
I just wanted to point out, on the ordinance, that the last line of the whole thing is effective period 12 months upon adoption of the date of publication or until rescinded, whichever is earlier. So that kind of covers if we want to do a 6 month. If by some miracle somebody comes in and says, like what they did for DeForest, had almost an ideal situation come up. There probably was some problems with that, but they had a really good workout with a data center company. If some miracle happened and somebody wanted to come into Winnebago County with a perfect solution, according to this, we can cancel this earlier. So I don't think we need an amendment to say earlier or later or whatever. It's pretty much covered 12 months or earlier, whichever comes first or whichever is earlier. I had something else, but I forgot what it was. But thanks.
Thank you. Supervisor Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to urge the county board to leave it at 12 months. That's a time that we need to get everything in place. If we should happen to get everything in place prior to that, it will have to be done with an amendment to this Chapter 23 code. And if we get it done ahead of the 12 months, we can always take this moratorium out of the code at any time during that 12-month period. So I would urge the county board to leave it at 12 months. If it gets done earlier, so be it.
Supervisor Bureau.
Thank you, Chair Facetto.
I am in favor of the 12 months, but from a very different perspective. And that is, if you look, why do we have the need for data centers? It's driven by AI. We're in competition with China on advancing AI. So there's going to be a lot of a national attention. And I think what's going to happen, the issues with water, the issues with power, et cetera, the companies that are installing AI are not blind. They have ears. They're going to see that. They're going to see more moratoriums put on. They're going to develop more closed-loop systems in time that don't have those type of impacts. So I think sometimes waiting is better anyhow. And I think 12 months is very realistic for a moratorium for that reason.
Supervisor Spore.
I'll speak on the amendment as well. I'd like to keep it as 12 months. As planning and zoning, we had a lot of public hearing, we had a lot of public comment, and it was made quite clear to us that people don't want this, or they want at least a moratorium. Many would like to go farther and not have it at all, but in the meantime, if we do the moratorium, like was just said, that we'll have a better model to evaluate at that point. So I think 12 months would be a better idea.
Supervisor Plachinsky.
Thank you, Chairman. I know that this information was sent to the towns, municipalities that would be affected by it. Have we heard back from any of them as of today? Because I know for sure, last night, the town of Monroe did vote in support of the 12-month moratorium, and they would be affected. So I'm just wondering if you've heard from any others.
I know there's one other town that is in support of it and are moving in the same direction, although they are not under county zoning.
Thank you.
Sure. Would anybody else like to speak on the amendment to shorten the time? Ms. Supervisor Macho, you remembered.
I remembered, thank you. I think I wanted to follow up on Supervisor Hanson's comment. If the state, question for the lawyers, if the state decides something before the 12 months, can they overrule us, or do we have home rule what we want, or can the state overrule us?
So, I was quickly looking it up, so yes, Winnebago County possesses limited administrative or organizational home rule, but it is different than the municipality home rule. But again, given the way this ordinance is written, there is nothing to prevent this from being rescinded earlier if the state comes in. I'm sorry.
They can overrule our wishes?
Yes.
Would anybody else like to speak to the amendment shortening the term from 12 months down to 6 months? Seeing none, all those in favor of the amendment on the floor to change the duration of the moratorium from 12 months to 6 months, please say aye. Aye. Nay? Nay. The nays have it. Okay. Would anybody like to speak on the resolution as amended, which is amended to clarify which municipalities are not a part of the moratorium? I don't see any other names, so if I'm missing you, raise your hand. Okay. All those in favor of the amended resolution to place a 12-month moratorium on data centers, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Carried. Okay. Supervisor Bureau.
Before we move into closed session, what I'd like to do is go through, everyone can refer please to their agenda.
and you will see a copy in the agenda itself, what I will go through here.
Mr. Chairman, we are coming up on 2 hours, and our county rules say that we break at a good point, around the 2-hour point. And this is going to take a lot longer than that.
It's 8:30 when we have to take a formal break per the rules. But Corporation Counsel Miller, I understand what you're asking for, Supervisor Powers, for a brief recess until, yeah, yep. Without objection, we'll take a recess for 10 minutes before we go into closed session. Okay. So please be If we could all return to our seats, please. If we could return to our seats, please. Okay, we will reconvene into our open session.
Page 3.
Okay, Supervisor Bureau.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before we move into closed session, please go to page 3 of your agenda. We're in item O, under closed session, and I'm going to read that. Pursuant to section 19.85 Wisconsin statutes, at this point in the meeting, the board shall consider a motion to convene in closed session for the purpose of 1F, considering financial, medical, social, or personal histories or disciplinary data on specific persons, preliminary consideration of specific personnel problems, or the investigation of charges against specific persons, except where par. B, applies which, if discussed in public, would likely have a substantial adverse effect upon the reputation of any person referred to in such histories or data, or involved in such problems or investigations, as it relates to the Director of Administration and the Director of Finance.
Is there a second to that motion? We now will do the roll call, but want to make sure we turn off the stream. Cassie, when you're ready. Okay. Roll call, please.
Supervisor Dowling? Here. Supervisor Laux? Here. Supervisor Keach? Here. Supervisor Spohr?
Here.
Supervisor Ramos? Here. Supervisor Ranky?
Here.
Supervisor Hancock Cook? Here. Supervisor Wise?
Here.
Supervisor Moonen?
Here.
Supervisor Rosno?
Here.
Supervisor Patterson?
Aye.
Supervisor Gabbert? Here. Supervisor Bender?
Here.
Supervisor Norenberg?
Here.
Supervisor Gilbertson? Supervisor Forsetto?
Here.
Supervisor McCartney?
Here.
Supervisor Panzer?
Here.
Supervisor Peschel?
Here.
Supervisor Mako? Supervisor Hintz?
Present.
Supervisor Bateen?
Here.
Supervisor Plachinsky? Supervisor Bach?
Here.
Supervisor Powers?
Here.
Supervisor Hanson?
Here.
Supervisor Schultz? Yep. Okay. Supervisor Gustafson?
Present.
Supervisor Bureau?
Here.
Supervisor Woods?
Here.
Supervisor No?
Aye.
Supervisor, or Chairman Forsetto?
Aye.
Supervisor O'Brien?
Here.
Supervisor Nelson?
Here.
And Supervisor Miller?
Aye.
Yeah.
No, the little lip. No, the little.
That's a low mic.
And finally, that was not a technical difficulty. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to Counselor Miller, Corp. Counselor Miller.
So